everybody, and welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We are super excited to be joining you now for the Potterverse. Wanted to do a quick reminder for those of you who are joining us who are not yet on our complimentary texting remind service. I do have a free text that I send you the days that we're able to go live, especially nowadays when we don't have the flexibility of babysitters that we normally had pre-pandemic. Things are sometimes up to how our kids are acting. So to make sure that you can join us live, whether on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, or Facebook, please make sure if you're in the U.S. to get out your phone, go to your text message and type in the number 81010 and in the message field at Elder Wand. Just one word, ELDERWAND. You can do that right now and come on back. It's going to take a moment for our podcast to get started. But as I said, I'll text you those mornings. It's a complimentary text. And I just let you know, like, hey, we're going live tonight. And then, hey, guess what? We're live now. Just so that way you can be here. You can plan accordingly and join in the fun. And if you wanted to opt out, you can. If you are outside of the U.S., you can still join by going to remind.com/join/elderwand.
Marvin, a bunch of people saying that you look cute and that they love your ponytail.
Now that I can have
now
one.
Now you can have a ponytail.
Guys.
It's a very like cheerleader-y ponytail right now.
I guess scrunchies are back in. I don't know what's going on in the world. My mom went on Amazon and a whole bunch of scrunchies for our 5-year-old daughter.
Yep.
And she's left them all in our room.
No, let's show everybody.
How long my hair is?
Well, not how long, but how cute you are.
Seeing as how I cut it all off 2 years ago?
If my stupid mouse would work.
I don't know what's going on.
I don't know where it is.
It's somewhere.
Where is
Blake has 3 monitors. There it was.
Go.
Oh, I saw it. Okay.
On. There you go, Mary. There you are. That's how cute you are.
Look at that.
Look at you.
Woo.
With your little tendrils and everything.
Yeah, I did a little curl business to this.
I'm all about it.
You know what's funny?
Yes.
This is just a little pre-show amble. So while we're doing this, hit that share button, hit that retweet button. You guys know the drill. Do the hashtag #ThePotterverse. Those of you who share it, write in the comments below, Expecto Patronus. Expecto Patronum. See, no, I'm reading Kayla Marie. Sorry. Expecto Patronum. We're going to give it. I know. I read everything as written. He's going to play
I'm Ron Burgundy.
See? So if you shared it, do Expecto Patronum. If you're on Instagram and you're like, how do I share? You can do a screenshot and put it in your stories. Anyone can put it in their stories on Facebook and Instagram. If you're on Twitter, retweet. YouTube, feel free to share any way that you do. Hey, Kristen, thank you so much. Expecto Patronum. Awesome. So yeah, I cut off all my hair 2 years ago to embrace the silver tinsel that I have. I don't know if you can see it that well. Can you see it in the other one? Let's see. Is this me?
Go there, yeah.
I mean, kind of. In different lighting, you can see it in different ways. But I've got like a lot of silver streaks going on. And I just said, to heck with it. I'm going to stop dyeing my hair. Chopped it all off. Had a pixie haircut. It was like Anne Hathaway in Les Mis.
Okay. So much crying. So much crying.
But it was amazing. And now that I can do it in a ponytail, I am. And yeah, the truth of the matter is that now that I have long hair, I'm running into a predicament in the summer. This is my first summer in 2 years that I've had longer hair.
Sure.
And I get hot, a little sweaty. And I went running today. I'm trying to get back in the habit of running.
Yep.
And I was running, and I took a shower today, but I didn't wash my hair because I just washed it yesterday. Then I got blow dry it. I forgot all the hassle that goes into having longer hair. So I put it up in a pony, and these were not cute. So I just had a little bit of curl. So that's the little hairstyling forward that I have. Thank you, Gloria, for doing the share. Expect a Patronum to you, too. Patronum. Oh, don't worry, Caitlin. I do the same thing. Kyle Ann Crawford, thank you so much for sharing. Bex, yes, it has been 2 years. Crazy, right?
2 long years.
2 years this month. Because it was in July, we went to Maine and I saw my 3-week roots of pure white shining in the sunlight.
Yep.
And I was like, that's it. And I came back and I had the undercut. I felt so cool with the undercut. But having an undercut is a lot to keep up with.
I loved the undercut.
The undercut was great. But like, if you're going to eventually grow your hair out, you got to grow out the undercut.
Yeah.
And so I went through all phases of mullet / 90s boy.
Hugh Grant.
Oh, I was definitely rocking
we had a Hugh Grant
stage.
phase for a while.
Yeah. But those of you who used to watch TGIF, Boy Meets World.
JTT.
I was Jonathan Taylor Thomas, Home Improvement. I was Sean from Boy Meets World. I had like this straight, and my hair would just naturally part. So I looked like the heartthrobs of 1996. Like if you looked in a 1996 yearbook, I could have been one of the heartthrobs.
Oh, man.
So I'm done. Oh, Rebecca Ann says, Expecto Patronum.
Thank
Yes,
you.
awesome.
Thank you, everybody.
Allison
for
cut off her
sharing.
hair. I know, long hair gets hot. Victoria, thank you so much for sharing. Expecto Patronum, awesome.
So, yeah, go to the Mary and Blake store, ladies and gents, and go get the Expecto Patronum t-shirt so that you can wear it when you're watching us and show and send us some pictures of
How
the
many
Expecto
shares do we
Patronum.
want to get up to tonight?
Oh, geez, that's a good one. I think we had like upwards of 20 shares or 26 shares last time.
Okay.
So I'd love to get to like 30. If we can get to 30, I'm in.
Oh my God, that would make me so happy.
I'm in on 30.
Okay. So we're up to 11 right now. We are up to 11 shares. So as I said, share it on your wall, share it in your stories. You can do that, I think, easily, sharing it into your stories.
Allie on YouTube saying Mary DiCaprio.
Yes. Allie, yes.
You know what?
Makes me want to shout. Anna, thank you. Anna Robbins is Expecto Patronum. Thank you for sharing. And Suzanne McCarter, thank you,
Oh,
thank you,
man, that was
guys.
good stuff.
Awesome. Oh, you guys are making me so happy. Friends on Instagram, I want to take a quick moment. Us going live on Instagram has kind of been like a newish thing, and we
Yes.
want to know what you think. Do you like us being live on Instagram, or are you like, I could check you out on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter? It's a very different service.
Yep.
So we're debating if we're going to keep going live on Instagram. If Instagram is your jam, let us know. But also make sure you're doing those screenshots and sharing it and tagging Mary and Blake Media on Instagram so we know that you're watching us there. Because if we don't think that many people are watching us there, then
We're not going to keep
we're
it.
not going to keep going live there. But I'm like, people are on IG, and I want to
Yeah.
go on IG.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Marvin, are you ready to make a
Tracy,
podcast?
thank you so much for sharing, Tracy.
Are we ready to make a podcast?
Do we expect? Yes. So Allison, yes, we're ready to make a podcast. Blake,
Okay.
Allison, you right here, Expecto Patronum in my heart. I know that means you shared, so I could shout you out here. But when you share on your wall, you can write whatever you want. A lot of people are like, "Oh, do you like Harry Potter? I like Harry Potter too. Check out this podcast my friends are doing."
Yes, you don't have to say Expecto Patronum randomly
no.
to the outside world.
But if you wanted to use the hashtag the Potterverse, you can also do that. They won't know what Expecto Patronum means.
Kylan
We
Crawford
do.
says, I watch on YouTube, but on Facebook to post messages. Ooh, I like it. I like it. All right. So let's make a podcast,
Okay.
shall we?
We shall.
Let's talk about chapter 6. And
So excited.
let's see if I can find my mouse
And
again.
don't
There it
forget, we
is.
have chapter 5 questions that we need to cover.
I already got them written down. In the Google Huffle. Tim, our boy Tim says Hufflepuff loves the IG. Yeah, I got all the questions that were sent to me via email from last episode.
Thank you, Penny, for sharing. Thank
And-
you, Jen, for sharing.
And this episode, they're already in the Google Doc, so we can't miss it. So if you do have questions for us about this chapter or the previous chapter, that's okay. Just
Up to 16 shares. Keep going.
all right. When we get to that segment, you'll know when we do. Have your questions ready for us, and then we will answer them as it comes, as in due course, as they say.
Thank you, Hanley. Thank you, Haley. Yay.
Okay,
Woo.
so
Expecting Patricia.
10 seconds for.
Room tone.
Let's do it.
I'm so excited.
You just messed up the room tone. You just messed it up.
Sorry.
It's okay.
It's all good.
Here we go.
This episode of the Potterverse is brought to you by MinuteWithMary.com. If you are looking to try out some new things when it comes to skincare or makeup, or just want to play with a new mascara, I'm your girl, guys. Yes, I may be in your earbuds, or maybe you watch me on a little square or rectangle on your phone, but I'm a real person who, in addition to loving all sorts of nerdy things, I love to help people feel more confident and creative when it comes to their makeup and skincare. It's also a way that I help fiscally contribute to our family. One of my favorite products to recommend, and I know so many of you listening have checked it out, is my 4D Epic Mascara. It's going to make your lashes look amazing, especially while you're wearing a mask. You want to bat those lashes and wink at people since you can't smile. Doesn't that suck?
Yes.
You can't smile. I mean, you can, but they don't know. But you can still wink.
You get the winking game. Winking game is hard right now.
And if you want your lashes to look amazing as you're smizing with your eyes behind your mask, you can get the best mascara at a discount by going to minutewithmary.com/discount. From Providence, Rhode Island, welcome to the Potterverse. It's a podcast dedicated to the book and film universe of Harry Potter. So grab your favorite wands and time turners. Let's step into the night and pursue that flighty temptress adventure. Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Mary Larson.
My name is Blake, and Mary, you nailed that intro.
Oh,
Much better than last episode's intro.
yes.
That was last one. The last one was a little rough.
Well, you know what's a little rough? You hating of the puffs recently. So what am I rocking? Some Hufflepuff colors for tonight's t-shirt. So if you got a puff in the house watching us live, throw your yellow hearts emojis. You just write yellow heart and the emoji will pop up. Throw your badger emojis, because yes, there are some.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Because I'm giving all the puffs my love.
Freaking Hufflepuff. Get
Giving
out
them
of here.
all my love
I'm
tonight.
out on Hufflepuff. I'm going to make a shirt that says out on Hufflepuff.
No.
Yep,
Oh
I'm doing
my
it.
goodness gracious. So tonight we are talking about Chapter 6 in the Sorcerer's Stone, aka the Philosopher's Stone, the journey from platform 9 3/4.
Mm-hmm.
This chapter has a very special meaning to me because I have a car decal that just says 9 3/4.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it because people either get it and they'll like walk up to me and they'll be like, yeah, Potterhead. And I'm like, yes. Because it's not like in your face. It's kind of like a Deathly Hallows thing. You know, it's just like a little thing. But then I get people who have no flipping idea. And you know how it looks like a circle. It kind of almost looks like one of the things that people put if they've run a marathon.
Yeah, right.
I have not run 9 3/4 miles.
No.
I mean, like in my life,
I don't
have.
think you could walk 9 3/4 miles. I don't think I could either. So
I probably could walk it, but I'd probably whine for like the last 6.
I could drive it. You're right, 6. I want the last 9.
No, I'm jogging now. I'm doing the couch to 5K.
That's true. Good
Okay,
point.
I can do 2.5 miles right now.
Everyone's throwing up the yellow and black hearts for Hufflepuffs.
Awesome.
Get some green and silver in there, will you? Come on, give me all the green ones.
Don't.
All right.
Don't at all. All right.
Let's read your quote. What do you got?
Okay, so my quote for this chapter. I think I can tell who the wrong sort are for myself. Thanks, he said coolly. Draco Malfoy didn't go red, but a pink tinge appeared in his pale cheeks. I'd be careful if I were you, Potter, he said. Unless you're a bit politer, you'll go the same way as your parents. They didn't know what was good for them either. You hang around with riffraff like the Weasleys and that Hagrid, it'll rub off on you. Both Harry and Ron stood up.
What a great way to introduce Malfoy in this instance. Really.
So much better than the movies. To straight up be like, your parents dead because they hang out with these kind of people, you're gonna too.
Right. It's straight up. I mean, what? He straight up threatens the most famous kid ever. Like
Who
the
he just wanted to be his Biffle.
Right. Like the most famous person really in the wizarding community right now, aside from Dumbledore and Voldemort, just straight up threatens him. Like
and Gilderoy Lockhart. I mean, let's be honest.
That's true.
Depending upon who you bet for, where you go, Gilderoy might be higher than Harry in your opinion.
Right.
Especially if your name's Molly Weasley.
Oh, Molly's way. Molly's in on Gilderoy Lockhart.
You know she has dreams.
She has all the dreams.
I got dreams.
Hey, before we get into the show,
Little Gavin DeGraw.
Oh God, no.
No, Molly Weasley listens to Gavin DeGraw thinking about Gilderoy Lockhart.
Do you think she makes a mistake at night? You know when Mr. Weasley.
We gotta be careful. We gotta be careful.
When Mr. Weasley and she are having some rumpy pumpy, do you think she says, "Oh, Gilderoy"? Oh, sorry.
Stop. Pivot. Like
pivoting.
Pivot.
We are pivoting.
Let's get on.
Speaking of that, I wanted to actually call out a very special day for one Emily Rodriguez. It's a listener of ours. And it's her birthday. Her husband sent us a message, and I wanted to just do this because it's a very special day. So, Emily, your husband is amazing.
Yes.
I have chatted with him a couple of times, and I just want to say happy birthday. And thank you for listening to Outlander Cast, and thank you to listening to the Potterverse, and everybody who is here live with us. Just give her some love, and And Emily, if you're watching us live, thank you. If you're going to watch this later on, you're going to see all the love that people are giving you for your birthday. So just happy birthday.
Happy birthday, girl.
All right, so before we get into the rest of this show, after we do our happy birthdays, Emily, once again, I want to remind you, go to MaryandBlake.com to check out all of the cool stuff that we got there, including all of the podcasts and all of the blogs. And we actually just finished up our last episode of Keep Calm and Crown On right before this episode. So for those of you who are at jointhenerdclan.com, you can listen to that as soon as we're done here.
Yeah,
so,
if you are a fan of The Crown and we're not giving you enough Potter to keep up with your desires each week, if you're like, I want more Mary and Blake in my life, and you're not yet a member at jointhenerdclan.com, a.k.a. OutlanderCastClan.com. If you go into jointhenerdclan.com, you can check out our Crown podcast.
Yes.
So we will keep you company as you get more time with more accents.
You want some more Mary and Blake? We will give it to you. Check us out on all the social media too. Mary and Blake, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all of it. And let's just let's make a podcast, shall we?
Yes.
Let's do it.
I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good.
So we start this chapter off, of course, with the Dursleys dropping Harry off and maniacally laughing as they say, "Good luck finding 9 3/4, sucker." And here he is with his trunk, with his owl, not knowing how to get across the platform, but luckily he finds the most sweet, precious, redheaded family, the Weasleys, who are running through platforms 9 and 10, right strack in the middle, and they show him how to get it done. He gets on there and is found out as being Harry Potter by the Weasley twins. He gets to meet Ron, Hermione, Neville, Fred, and George, who knows who in that family, though. And then when they get to Hogwarts, Hagrid meets them, and they have the most magical first year's entrance into Hogwarts as they arrive up.
Nice recap, Marvin. Not bad. Not bad. Look at you. You're getting it done today, girlfriend.
Hey, you know.
So where do you want to begin with this?
I'm not caffeinated anymore. I'm back.
Where do you want to begin with this? Do you want to begin as we do with all things at the beginning, or shall we just say what comes out?
Well, let's start. So,
too?
It was really funny. I was talking about this with a friend, and I would love to pick your mind and also our listeners who are joining us live, because as we ended last chapter, we knew that Hagrid was bringing Harry back to the train station, to Paddington Station, to have him go back home, and he had to live there for a month with the Dursleys, and he's able to delve into these books and do all these cool things. But in the movies, he goes from the next day, he's like shopping in Diagon Alley, and then it's pretty much like the next day he's going, he's being dropped off. So like time in the movies is crazy. But here we get to see in the books how the Dursleys just ignored him times a million. Like we thought things were bad enough, but now they're frightened of him. At least he's in his own room. And they mention how they have to go get Dudley's tail removed. That's why they're heading to London that day. They're like, luckily for you, we're already heading to London on September 1st.
And they say it nonchalantly, like, we got to get his tail removed.
You know.
Because that's, as one does. When they go to London, they get their tail removed. And it goes to show you that the magicality of what, Hagrid has done is permanent. That is something that will never go away. It's not like they can just do Oculus Reparo on that bad boy and fix it.
Maybe they could have had a spell to fix it.
Oh, I'm sure that they
Nat
could
and Pomfrey would have just like winked at it and it would have been gone.
But what it goes to show you is that there are real life consequences to what Hagrid has done, and Harry is keeping it secret, number one. But these things just don't disappear. There is real stakes when it comes to the magic of it all. It's not just this make-believe fun sunshine and rainbows thing, which the author has done this now. The author has done this thing very subtly and very carefully interwoven this the magic having real consequences. And not everything in this world is tip-top 100% perky sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
It ain't all unicorns.
I mean, heck, if you watch Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, you learn that real quick.
Right.
Real quick.
Right.
So here, Harry's dropped off and he meets the worst man ever doing the worst job ever. He just asks a train station attendant Excuse me, sir. As he's like bumbling around with all his stuff. Now picture 11-year-olds. They're not old. They're like fourth graders.
Right.
Okay. So an alone fourth grader asks someone whose job it is to help people, says, excuse me, sir, can you please help me find platforms 9 3/4? And the guy's just like,
What?
yeah.
Platform 9 3/4. Think you're being funny, do you?
Yep. Rather than, where are your parents? Are you okay? Can I get you a snack?
Well-
Why do you have an owl?
And what are you doing? Well, it goes to show you, I think, well, at least it calls into question the practice of what is happening. It feels like a bunch of people are not noticing all of these children with these cots and owls and big things with H seals on them and like the big trunks, and nobody is also noticing that kids are just running into this brick wall. I would love, Mary, for you to explain to me how in the world this is not more of a known thing. How does the whole idea of Hogwarts and how the kids are getting into Hogwarts, because I don't think there's any other way to get to Hogwarts at platform 9 3/4 for anybody. Harry,
it seems like everyone takes a train. Correct?
Everybody takes the train.
Yeah.
Everybody. Now there are different ways to get to Hogwarts itself.
Yes.
Eventually, as we'll eventually find out.
But the students seem to go.
Every student,
yes.
doesn't matter who you are, goes on the train, goes
Agreed.
on the Hogwarts Express. How can we explain people disappearing into a wall?
Okay, so
And
here's
how do we explain all this?
Yeah, so a couple of things. So obviously this is King's Cross Station. It makes me think of like Grand Central Station in New York. Okay? Remember we've been there?
Yes.
Remember we've been there during Comic-Con?
Yes.
Yeah. What would you think if you saw a bunch of people with like weird stuff? You'd be like, wow.
Yeah, but that was Comic-Con.
Exactly. But maybe people like, maybe muggles just think there's like an owl conference, an owl convention that happens. Must be September 1st again. The owl people are here. Like, that's how New Yorkers who have to go through it was Pennsylvania Station, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Like, that's how people must feel like, must be Comic-Con again. Must be that owl time. Because aside from that, as long as they're not wearing their robes, there's probably a lot of kids going to boarding schools and having their trunks and going to school.
Now that's a good explanation for it. I would agree, but I still can't get past. And now I know that this is a children's novel, so and there's something much more romantic about the idea of kids seeing something that adults don't.
I also think there's a bit of a delusionment charm that happens on September 1st. That there's a little bit of like something sprinkled for that one day.
Wow, Mary. That was that was a deep cut right there.
Really?
That was a deep
I don't think
cut.
it's that deep, but I'll take it.
Hanley Smith Connell on Facebook says Muggles always miss the magic. Is it because Muggles are just too busy with their daily lives that they don't pay attention to children and they don't see a kid running into a wall? Like, they're okay. Let's say there is a delusionment charm on the entrance for platform 9 3/4.
Yes.
At some point, a kid has to disappear.
No, maybe it just looks like they go behind it. Like, think about it.
Oh,
Everyone's
okay.
going fast, so maybe the delusionment charm just makes it look like they went around it. And if you're walking another way or whatever, you're looking at your...
Got it. Okay.
I think there's a delusionment charm.
You know what? Just for posterity's sake.
Oh, I thought you were going to give me an outstanding.
Well, you know what? I'll do that too.
Oh, don't snap off beat.
Makes me want to shout. Well, you know, I don't play that outstanding lightly because that honestly is the first time I've ever heard anybody, and I've been watching Harry Potter for quite some time and reading it for quite some time and listening about it for quite some time. That's the first time anybody's actually said anything that's made sense to me as to why people wouldn't notice children running into a wall.
I mean, you did marry me for
I did.
my nerd abilities, right?
That's true.
So we get to meet the Weasley family, who explains how to walk through 9 3/4.
Yep.
All of these ginger-haired fellas just striding on in. We get to meet Percy with his perfect pee, and we get to meet Fred and George, who, can we just give them a shout-out?
Absolutely.
I'll send you a toilet seat from Hogwarts. Love Fred and George. Love them. Love them so much. We get to see Ginny, who, God, Ginny in this book makes me think she's 5. Ginny's 10. She's like 9 or 10.
Yes.
Because she goes to Hogwarts the next year, and she just seems like, Mom, I want to go.
Mom, can't I go?
Like, Ginny, you're 10. Like, cut it out. I mean, unless things are really that bad at home.
Yep.
Does Molly homeschool before then? Like, is Ginny in charge of cleaning all those rooms and chasing after the gnomes?
Yeah. Wait, so that also calls into question.
You know how you get rid of the gnomes, right?
No.
Our son tells us this like all the time. You have to
remember.
pick them up by their hat and spin them around 3 times. I bet that's what Ginny does. She's like, please let me go to Hogwarts. I'm done spinning gnomes.
Stupid thing.
Garden gnomes.
Just killing gnomes. Oh, man. Oh, that is so funny. It also calls into question, what do pre-Hogwarts wizard kids do? Like, do they have pre-Hogwarts?
Yeah, like, do they go to a Muggle elementary school and just kind of like blend in? Or do they just stay home and be homeschooled? I think they would be homeschooled. I think wizarding kids would be homeschooled with like just life lessons or whatever, rather than sticking a wizard kid who knows he or she's a wizard kid, and then they have to lie about it to their Muggle peers. Yeah, no, homeschool them. And maybe if you live near a few other wizard families, you can have like a homeschool pod.
Right. And then here's another thing too. I was just thinking as we're discussing this. All right, so wizard kids want to go to Hogwarts, which is fine.
Yes.
Their wizard parents can go to Hogwarts. I'm sure that they can go through platform 9 3/4.
I mean, we've never heard of like parents' weekend. How sad is that?
I know,
Get with it, Hogwarts.
but parents are there
Yeah.
at 9 3/4, right?
Wizards can go through platform.
Right, but what about wizard kids that have Muggle parents? Can the Muggles go through the charmed entry for 9 3/4?
I would say yes.
Like, let's say Hermione's parents.
Yeah.
We're not privy to the fact or
Yeah.
ever privy to what Hermione's parents are doing when she's going to Hogwarts.
I would say yes.
But how I guess the charm would be able to tell.
I mean, because Hermione's parents I don't remember in the book, but in the movie, Hermione's parents are at Diagon Alley shopping with her, getting
Okay.
books.
Yep.
So I feel like if you're going through with a wizard, especially if it's a parent of an underage minor who knows that your child's going, then, because remember, the platform 9 3/4, that thing shuts down. Like, it is only open until,
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, what is it, 11 o'clock? Like, after that, it's shut. So I doubt any Muggles would accidentally walk into it. But, yeah, Hermione and her parents could probably go through.
Oh, Hermione's parents. Yeah, Hanley says Hermione's parents are on the platform. Yeah. Okay, so, so there you go. I mean, I guess we're getting into some real nitty gritty stuff.
I mean, that's what we're here for, right? This
That's
is a Harry
true.
Potter podcast.
We're just so much. I'm getting nerd sweats just thinking about this. But yeah, the charm must be able to tell the difference between just a regular, because that calls into question: can a regular old Muggle like just put his hand on the wall by accident and fall through the charmed entrance?
I mean, maybe, but I don't know.
And if so, do they flashy thing them?
Yes.
They have to flashy thing.
Yes.
Them, right?
There's probably like the equivalent of the really bad train station attendant right on the other side who actually does a good job.
Do they have Hogwarts employees or wizard or Ministry of Magic employees at King's Cross guarding the...
There's someone who's probably there who puts the spell on it, because once again, it shuts down. We know that from the Whomping Willow. Is that the second book? Yeah, the second book, when they have to drive the car.
Yes.
So we know that... Oh, no, because it's Dobby who also shuts it down early. So I don't know. Blake. You've stumped me. Lumos has now entered and distracted me.
I have stumped Mary.
I mean, it was really Lumos.
Just like that. A winner!
I'll take it. I will take it.
So we meet the Weasleys, as I've said several times. We meet Neville,
Yes.
the little round-faced boy. Gran, I've lost my toad again. Imagine being Neville's Gran.
Oh,
Can September 1st get here already?
get this kid out of here.
Imagine Neville's Gran dealing with the pandemic.
Oh my God. So
What do you mean I need to have virtual school 3 out of the 5 days a week?
she's smoking so many parliaments and drinking so much Carlo Rossi right now. Carlo Rossi in parliaments.
If he loses Trevor one more time, I swear to God, I'm going to buy him a stuffed toad. I'm going to buy him 20 stuffed toads on the Amazon thing. Just keep it in my giant purse. Here he is.
Oh,
Here's Trevor. Trevor number 3. She get one of the Muggle like car alarm, like you lost your key things, and put it on Trevor as like a necklace.
Neville, not Trevor.
That's their ship name. Trevor.
Oh man.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm already sweating, Marvin. Thank you so much for that.
Okay.
Oh.
Harry goes bonkers buying candy. Oh, no. First, Fred and George recognize Harry. First, Fred and George help him get his trunk in, and Harry's sweating because he's got a lot of hair, and they see his scar.
Yeah, and then they're like, "Oh my God, Harry Potter! You're Harry Potter!"
Fred and George, first off, seeing this little first-year little put-in, not getting his trunk up by himself. He doesn't have a parent. They just saw him, like, just probably bumping around with his owl earlier, and they just knew to help him. Way to go, Gryffindors. Way to go. And yet they're also bold enough to be like, hey,
I know you.
are you that 11-year-old who's famous, who's been living in the Muggle world forever because you killed Voldemort? Just wondering.
What you're actually making a very salient point here, Mary, and I know you mean to, but part of it, I think, is the way the author introduces these characters is tremendous. You get an immediate sense of all of the Weasleys and what they're about. How Fred and George are always laughing and joking, saying, "Oh, I'm George. No, I'm Fred," and blah, 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 blah. And their relationship to their mother. You get an immediate sense of what Mrs. Weasley is about, the caring, warm, loving mother who's there for everything. And she's like frazzled, but she's there and she loves it and she loves her kids. There's a bunch of kids there. Percy has the perfect pee. He's the prefect. You can feel it. And Ron is there.
I get to sit in one of the top, the front 2 compartments.
Right. And another great thing, too, here is that Molly shows up in Harry's time of need, whereas, Petunia was the one to just say, "Okay, see you later."
She didn't even see him later. It was Vernon who...
Good point, yeah. Petunia is the one who doesn't even go.
Yeah.
And Molly is the one who steps in as his surrogate mother, showing the support that he
and always
needs.
is.
Right. And she puts Harry almost even ahead of her children. There's a great passage here where she says, "Oh, hello, dear. First time at Hogwarts. Ron's new too." Like, you can just already sense the warmth
I'm going to
from
put
her.
you at ease. Yep.
She pointed at the last and youngest of her sons. He was tall, thin, and gangling, with freckles, big hands and feet, and a long nose. Even Ron here, you're getting a sense that he's kind of like dopey, and he's got the big hands. He's he's like this middle-aged, not middle-aged. He's like this middle school kid that just he fumbles around because his feet are too big, and he trips over himself, and his hands are all gangling. And she says, and Harry says, "Yes," said Harry. The thing is, I don't know how to get on the platform, dear," she said kindly, and Harry nodded. "Not to worry," she said. "All you have to do is walk straight at the barrier between platforms 9 and 10. Don't stop, and don't be scared. You'll crash into it. That's very important. Best do it at a bit of a run if you're nervous. Go on, go now before Ron." She puts Harry before her own son. She takes care of Harry before her own son. This is a big deal. She even says the phrase, "the goggle at in a zoo," which is really important because Harry was the one who was talking to the snake. at the zoo, and Harry is the one that people are looking at now, much like how he looked at that snake. This is a really important
Well,
thing.
exactly. I mean, we hear that later on when Malfoy comes in and says, everyone's saying that Harry Potter is in this compartment. You know, like everyone wants to gossip and see him and look at him and look at his scar. And Molly Weasley, as much as like she'd love to say something because she was in the Order of the Flippin' Phoenix and knew Harry's parents, like she was working for so much of her life to try to extinguish Voldemort. She knows this is still an 11-year-old boy whose life has been flipped right side up.
Right, absolutely. So we get there and we finally get into the fact that they get on the train. There they are, and Ron and Harry are sitting in the same compartment, which, it's funny because, like, you remember those first days in college, or let's just say for those of you who didn't go to college, your first days at camp, or, your first day at school. Like, if you go from middle school to high school, if you went from one school to another, those first few days are wild. You don't know who your friends are. You don't know where you're supposed to go. You don't know who you're hanging out with. You don't even know how to act.
Yeah.
Yet, Ron and Harry have this connection. They have this thing about them that they just seem to come near to each other. And it's almost like, and they seem to gravitate towards each other, I think, on multiple levels. One level is that Ron feels underappreciated. He feels like he gets all the hand-me-downs, which he does, and he goes unnoticed. And he has this thing of like, no matter what I do, my family and my brothers or whatever, they've already done it.
And that is Ron's issue throughout the entire book series, is that he always feels like he plays second, third, fourth, fifth fiddle to someone else, that he is not number one, that he doesn't have something that is uniquely his. And that is, like the little devil on his shoulder is always telling him, you are not important.
Right. And I think, and we've always talked about the practice of wants versus needs. Like, Ron wants to stand out.
Oh, someone helped correct me. Molly wasn't in the Order until Voldemort comes back. She
Oh,
and We've been talking about it in the 5th book. Thank you, 216.
2B16P on YouTube.
Thank you. They're making me feel better.
Wants versus needs. And for Ron, his want is to stand out and to be something other than what his brothers were. He wants to be noticed. But his need, what he needs is to just become his own person. He doesn't need to do things better than Percy. He doesn't need to be funnier than Fred and George. What Ron needs is to feel like he belongs, just like Harry. And when they find each other, they realize they do belong on a certain level. They both bring that out of each other.
And Harry, especially in book 1, is very, very self-conscious about the fact that he does not have like the wizarding knowledge, that he isn't from a wizard family, that he's brand new to this. And both he and Ron get to be vulnerable. Ron gets to open up that he doesn't have a lot of money, that he does hand-me-downs, that he has all these insecurities. And Harry gets to ask Ron repeatedly, without feeling judged, without feeling like that Ron will ever make fun of him, tell me more about Quidditch, and what is a chocolate frog, and oh my gosh, this is Dumbledore. And Ron's like, you don't have a Dumbledore, but it's not in a way that Draco made Harry feel. Draco made Harry feel very inadequate, very much like he didn't belong there. And we're going to see this especially throughout this first book. But even as we go forward, Ron is able to teach Harry things because Ron has grown up in a wizarding family all along. And Harry actually becomes part of this wizard family, the family that he asks Ron about. Are all your family wizards? Harry becomes part of the Weasley family, which is really, really cool in a sense.
Yeah, and the Weasley family is his surrogate family. It is his. It's Harry's respite from the entire world, and he feels isolated when he's not with them. And the fact that he's able to have Ron in his life this early, this quickly, speaks volumes to the kind of relationship that they're going to have. But more importantly, Harry wants to know about his family because he's never had a family. And Ron is as equally interested in Harry as Harry is in Ron. It's they're feeling each other out for the information that they're trying to glean from each other. And one of the things that pops up in this conversation is quite the opposite of what Harry has gone through. In fact, Ron says, "Oh, my mom has a cousin who's an accountant, but we don't talk about him because he's a weird muggle."
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that Harry has experienced in his life the same
Yes.
exact thing, just the opposite way.
Yep.
The Dursleys don't want to talk about his family because they
Yes.
were weird.
Yes.
So again, it shows that these two worlds are intertwined, but parallel. They both have their own rules, and they play off that tension plays off of each other. It pulls in one direction and pushes the other direction.
Yep.
So it's a great insight into how those two worlds interact.
Awesome. We are introduced to really, the fact that the Weasleys don't have a ton of money, and Ron goes through this whole list of things that are hand-me-downs. His robe, his wand, even Scabbers, who he gets from Percy, which I don't know. I need to do a little more researching, and maybe those of you who are joining in live can help us out. I don't know how Percy got Scabbers. So Scabbers, as we know, is not really Scabbers.
Right.
It's Peter Pettigrew.
Yep.
He's just transfigured into a rat. So how did Percy get Scabbers in the first place would be something that I don't fully know. But, Scabbers has been with his family forever. And even Ron's wand has like a little bit of the unicorn hair already showing. Like this
Right.
poor wand is already not in great shape. So we get this extreme, I have hand-me-down everythings, and up comes the lady with the sweet cart. And what I love is that she says, "Anything from the cart, dears?" And we all know it as anything from the trolley. But that's not what's in the book. And Harry buys everything. For
Right.
the first time, he feels that money jangling in his
He can
pocket.
do whatever he wants.
And he can treat Ron, because here's Ron saying, "I've hand-me-down everything." And Harry relates to him. He's like, "Man, me too. Like my entire life I had Dudley's old clothes that then they would dye gray. Like I
Right.
slept in a freaking cupboard. Like I've lived your life and then some."
Yeah, it shows his first bit of independence. It
Yes.
shows his first means of saying, "Nope, I'm taking control into my life." It's the first thing that Harry actually does in this book. Thus far in this book, he's been such a passive character. Things just happen to him.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's a different way of telling that story. And I like that this is the first thing that he does. And it plays also into the notion that of insecurity. Like Ron is insecure because his family doesn't have any money. He's had all these hand-me-downs. Yes, Harry has lived that life as well.
Mm-hmm.
But now he has the money. He can do what he wants to do with it.
I mean, he can at least do with what he wants with candy.
But what Harry is insecure about, not like Ron, but Ron has his insecurities about money. Harry has his insecurities about his lack of wizarding knowledge, number one, and then also a lack of belonging or a sense of belonging. He doesn't have that. And these two are providing comfort in both of those areas for each other. Which is, again, why this friendship, I think, blossoms so quickly.
Yeah.
I think so.
So, I mean, we get to delve into Ron sharing even just his knowledge of these chocolate frogs. And the card, of course, that Harry gets is Albus Dumbledore, who proves to be one of the most important relationships of Harry's life. So I love that this is a magical candy sweet thing, and he learns about how wizards are able to come in and out of pictures. But through this little simple candy card, and we've already heard how important Dumbledore is. He was one of the first characters we were introduced to in the book series. We learned that he is one of the most amazing wizards of his time, that he defeated this dark wizard at Grindelwald.
Oh, no, let me just read it right
Okay.
now. Albus Dumbledore, currently headmaster of Hogwarts, considered by many the greatest wizard of the modern times. Professor Dumbledore is particularly famous for his defeat of the dark wizard Grindelwald in 1945 for the discovery of the 12 uses of dragon's blood, and his work on alchemy with his partner, Nicholas Flamel. Professor Dumbledore enjoys chamber music and 10-pin bowling. Which,
love it.
Again, you feel the tension between the wizarding world and the real world.
Yes.
First, the obvious comparison here is chamber music. and how that feels in the wizarding world, and discovering the 12 uses of dragon's blood. Yet,
one of which is oven cleaning, by the way.
oh, I did not know that.
I mean,
you know what? This is for you. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
But the other one here is 10-pin bowling.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine
Not
Dumbledore
knitting.
bowling?
But knitting he picks up later in life.
Yeah.
I actually can picture Dumbledore bowling. I feel like he's very light on his feet. But we, of course, get the thing.
Well, 2B16P here on YouTube says exposition through candy. Awesome.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Including just mentioning a little bit of alchemy with his partner, Nicholas Flamel.
Which is what is going to be important for the rest of this book. Again, when this comes back up later on, you already have a sense of comfort. Like, it's one of those things that you have read, but you don't fully understand yet. When it does come back up, and who created the Sorcerer's Stone, or in this particular case, the Philosopher's Stone, whatever, you're already like, oh, I know that name.
But it's funny because we've gotten, so many other names like Daedalus Diggle. You know what I mean? You've gotten all these names of magical people who you may or may not see later.
Yep.
So it's interesting how they're just interwoven. Even Grindelwald, like, we're taught about this evil wizard, but he doesn't really come back up in this book. So it's just sprinkled in. And this way, if you are a very, 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 very careful reader, it's there. Or when you're having fun doing a reread, you're able to see that these seeds were planted super, super early on.
One question I have for you is the card itself. Like, Dumbledore is in the card, and then he is just away all of a sudden. He just disappears. So it calls into question the logistics of the cards themselves. Does Dumbledore take time out of his day to pose for cards, or is the card itself just charmed, or all the set of cards charmed, or how does he have to go from card to card to card? Does he just capture the essence of Dumbledore? What I got a billion questions running through my brain.
Well,
how does
there
it work?
are the portraits of the headmasters that Dumbledore can even talk to later on. So I don't know. I don't fully understand how the portraits work. I'll get back to you on that, Blake.
One other thing I wanted to mention here, too, again, is the push and pull between the wizarding world and the real world. I don't think it's coincidence that Dumbledore is the one who defeats Grindelwald in 1945, which just happens to also be the end of World War II. And if you remember from the Fantastic Beasts film series, Grindelwald is the one who is saying, listen, we got to separate ourselves from these muggles, and we got to do all these things because they're going to bring the end of the world. And how does World War II happen? Does Grindelwald play a role in it?
The third movie hasn't come out yet, Blake.
I know. I'm just saying, this is a really big deal. This is a really big deal. And having said that, it shows you the connection between the wizarding world and the real world, that Adolf Hitler was defeated in 1945, and you can start to equate Grindelwald to Adolf Hitler, which, by the way, you can equate to Voldemort at that same time too. So all of these things are playing into the backstory of this world that we have just been thrown into. And if you're reading this intelligently and not just as a child who's just experiencing, oh, yay, chocolate frogs, you're seeing a lot of the groundwork here being laid.
Okay, so Harry hears about a break-in in Gringotts from Ron.
Yes.
Which
is a big deal.
Which is a huge deal because Harry just heard that, he was just there a month ago and he read all this stuff and he went on a little train ride. He knows that it's incredibly hard to break into. So, and that was one of the few things he's had in the Wizarding World experience. So he hears that. Draco comes in and tries to befriend Harry. So he comes in with Crabbe and Goyle, and he extends his hand. He wants to be Harry's friend. Why would Draco Malfoy want to be Harry's friend?
I actually kind of want to take his perspective in this later on. So I'm going to refrain from doing that, from giving you the answer, but I would love to hear yours.
So I think that Draco and his family, so right after Voldemort was defeated, quote unquote, by Harry, Lucius Malfoy and Narcissa Malfoy, Draco's parents, came back to the good side, saying that they were under the Imperious curse. They
Yeah.
said that their brains were washed and that they were, pretty much like zombies to Voldemort, that they weren't really following him on their own accord. So they came back to the good side. So I think, this is obviously a family that likes to status climb, and no matter what, Harry is powerful. But also, Harry hasn't made his mind up yet. So who's to say that he's not going to be the next really bad wizard? You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Like even the Sorting Hat, and we've just heard over at Ollivander's, like Harry has a lot of power in him, and we learn later on in life, like had he turned Slytherin, he would have been still great in Slytherin, maybe not a good guy, but Harry is capable of doing bad things, of
Right.
making poor choices, but being really good at making poor choices. So I think Draco just wants to social climb with the famous Harry Potter.
Yep. And
That's my opinion.
I think that's definitely part of it. I think part of it is we've drawn comparisons between Draco and Dudley likes to gather. He likes to have people under his beck and call, and it almost reminds me of Professor Slughorn a little bit, where he just collects people.
Mm-hmm.
And I get the sense that Draco has no real use for anybody unless they're his, and even when they are his, he still doesn't have a particular use for them. They just exist for his bidding. And whether it's social climbing or it's just he wants to collect, I think that's part of it. But I think it goes a little bit deeper than that as well. But I'll get into that when I want to take that perspective. What I really love about this confrontation is Harry, in all of his confrontations with Dudley, seemed to just wilt.
Yes.
He seems.
I mean, he was physically beaten up most of the time.
Yeah, and
with
he was
Dudley.
just quiet. He seems to run away from those issues. And when Harry, and in the earlier chapters, they were even saying that Harry was alone. He had no one
Yes.
at school. And in this case, he finally finds a friend, and that friend is Ron. And in kind of, sort of,
Not yet
familiarity
Hermione.
he has a familiarity with Hermione, someone who at least talks to him,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Not in a way that's like belittling or
No.
but whatever. What I'm getting at is he finally has a friend in Ron, and that friend is what brings out the bravery and
Yes.
courage in him. That is the one that helps manifest
They
it.
stand up together.
They stand up together, and they are already resembling Gryffindors. You can already see it.
And that quote that I read in the beginning of, and not the beginning of the chapter, but in the exact moment where he said, "You hang around with riffraff like the Weasleys and the Hagrid, and it'll rub off on you." And I read that, not that like death is going to rub off on you, that your parents died because they hung out with those type of people, but actually that the qualities of the Weasleys and the qualities that Hagrid gives off will rub off on you. You will
Sure.
make brave and kind and forward choices, and you will put yourself out there for others. And I liked that. And then they did the immediate thing as they stood up. Now Crabbe and Goyle, get a little riffraffy, and Scabbers attacks Goyle.
Right. Why would he do that?
I don't exactly know. I mean, mind you, Scabbers has now been with this family for a long time, so I appreciate that he would stick up for his family. Really, I mean, all the boys were going to eat. Crabbe and Goyle were going to eat all of Harry's candy.
Mm-hmm.
And they reach for the candy, and that's when Scabbers bites them. I mean, maybe Scabbers wanted the candy.
I don't know.
Or one can argue that yes, Peter Pettigrew, Scabbers, does terrible, terrible things.
Mhm.
But he still was sorted in Gryffindor. So was this
Oh.
Scabbers, Peter Pettigrew's moment of bravery as well, as these two young Gryffindors are standing up? Is he standing up for his family of the Weasleys?
I would say textually, he has never evidenced any kind of bravery.
this is his one moment.
I don't know.
Why else would he bite Goyle?
I mean, I guess you're right.
Because he has to, for him to have been sorted into Gryffindor, he has to have an ounce of it. So that's
Yeah.
it.
I mean, I suppose you're right. I suppose you're right. I just
Sticking up.
textually, after he becomes Peter Pettigrew again and everything,
Yes.
he doesn't do anything. And granted, he's under the call of Voldemort at that point,
Mm-hmm.
so he's not going to do anything brave, and he never does anything to never does anything to save himself, to give that character any kind of reconciliation. It never happens. He doesn't do anything to justify his good existence ever. So I don't know. Maybe it's just at that point animal instinct. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure.
I think it's the Gryffindor and his standing up for the Weasleys. I can think it's his one redeemable moment.
Yeah.
Not that he's redeemable, but his one Gryffindor moment.
One thing that happens here too is Ron does his charm to try to turn Scabbers yellow.
Yes.
And the language here is cute, but it's funny because future spells or incantations or charms don't have this kind of language. It feels very childish. It feels like something a magician would say, if you know what I mean.
Well, it's like what we stereotypically would have thought of as a charm.
Right. Sunshine, daisies, butter mellow, turn this stupid fat rat yellow. Now, nothing happens, and it is Fred and George who do
They just made a joke for him.
Right. So it's like when you think about it, yeah, like that's the deal, right? Like maybe Fred and George are just playing with them. But when nothing happens, you get introduced to Hermione in the best whirlwind, Mary Larson kind of way.
Oh my God.
Absolutely. It's just a total whirlwind. And I have to read this.
Oh, this would be me.
He waved his wand, but nothing happened. Scabbers stayed gray and fast asleep. Are you sure that's a real spell?
I wouldn't say that. I would have helped Neville. I would have been coming in being like, have you seen this new person that I just met 2 minutes ago's Toad that I've decided to spend my entire train ride finding for him?
Oh, are you doing magic? Let's see it then.
That wouldn't be me.
I don't know.
I wouldn't be doing it in a snobby voice.
Said the girl. Well, it's not very good, is it? I've tried to soup a few simple spells for practice, and it's not all. And it's all worked for me. Nobody in my family's magic at all. It was ever such a surprise when I got my letter, but I was ever so pleased. Of course, I mean, it's the very best school of witchcraft there is. I've heard. I've learned all our set books off by heart. Of course, I just hope it'll be enough. I'm Hermione Granger, by the way. Who were you? She said all of this very fast.
Like a lot of that, I see where you're coming from.
Yes.
The speaking very fast. Hi, this is my name. I'm so excited. I already read all my books. I wouldn't tell someone they were doing a bad job if I just met them.
She said this all very fast, and Harry looked at
general.
Ron and was relieved to see by his stunned face that he hadn't learned all the set of books of by heart either. I'm Ron Weasley, Ron muttered. Harry Potter, said Harry. Are you really? I know all about you, of course. I got a few extra books in background for reading, and you're in modern magical history and the rise of fall of dark arts and great wizarding events of the 20th century. Am I? Said Harry, feeling dazed. Goodness, didn't you know? I'd have found out everything if it was me, said Hermione. Do either of you know what your house would be in? I've been asking around. I hope I'm Gryffindor. It sounds by far the best. I hear Dumbledore himself is one. But I suppose Ravenclaw wouldn't be too bad. Anyway, better go looking for Neville's Toad. You had better change, you know. I expect we'll be there soon.
You're giving her so much sass.
Woo! No. It's not me. It's the way that it's written.
She doesn't mean to come off that way. She's just very eager and excited.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The author in this chapter has introduced you to Malfoy, the Weasleys, given you more direction about Harry and his unknowing tendency to be Gryffindor. We get Hermione, we get Crabbe and Goyle, we get all of these things, and they all have incredible characterization.
Yes.
You even get to know Neville. One of my favorite
Fred and George.
All the Weasleys. One of my favorite things to do for any book or television series or movie is I need you, as the reader or viewer, to tell me about the characters. Don't tell me their physical appearance. Don't tell me their job, and don't tell me their action that they're doing. Tell me about them without actually telling me about them.
Okay.
What is their characterizations? So, what are the things that you think of when you think of Hermione from this text alone? Like, what are the things that you think of Harry and Ron? You immediately get the sense that Hermione is quick-witted. She is
very, very excited.
Very excited. Very type A.
Type A to the max. Already dressed in her robes.
You get the sense that she is by the book.
Yep.
And you get the sense that
she's helpful.
She's a whirlwind at this point.
Yes.
Ron is insecure, but brave,
Hungry. Always hungry.
always hungry,
Bless his heart.
and he
Doesn't like dry roast beef.
He feels the need to stand out from his family. These are all things that are characterizations of these players in this chapter, and you can tell them immediately.
Yes.
Draco Malfoy, entitled,
Judgmental.
looks down on other families. These are all things. When you see this is when you know you have not great out. No, dare I say?
Come on, Lumos, get into it.
It makes me want to shout. So, I am wildly impressed at how these characters are introduced in this chapter.
We wrap things up by the train ending and Hagrid calling for all the first years to come on down this like little knobbly pathway that's very dark, and they're looking at each other like, where are we going? And they go in these little boats, 4 to a person, and they go on this lake just by these self-ridden boats, and up on a mountainside. They can see all of these glistening lights from this castle with these towers and these windows. And that is their first look at Hogwarts. Seeing it from this majestic lake that we get to know of later on in life, in the books a bit more, but also just seeing it from below and having this really grand entrance while, mind you, second years and beyond are being brought to school through the carriages so they can be there to welcome the first years. They needed the first years to take their time, but also to have this really grand entrance. And they get this cool experience where they're on these boats and they have to duck down, kind of like bow their heads a little bit and go through this ivy.
Yeah.
And it makes me think of, just something brushing you, like your final step of entering a new world. Like this veil is being pulled away.
Yeah, it's like physically removing you from your Muggle world or the previous world that you knew. It's almost washing that off of you. It's bathing you to come in pure, almost, if you will.
I love this scene so much that I actually had Blake do a piece of artwork about this, of Hagrid leading the trio, but all these first years through the woods, approaching the lake so they can look up upon Hogwarts.
Yeah, it feels very reverent. This whole thing. We go from the whirlwind of Hermione and the train and Malfoy and kids bopping in and out of the candy.
I just picture the Polar Express. Like all the kids in their jammies, like eating and going crazy.
Wait, what were they doing? Hold on, Mary. hold on.
On the
Wait,
Polar
what?
Express.
What were they doing? Do it again. Come on now. There we go. It works better because you have the ponytail now.
I know. Now that I have got a little wave to it.
For those of you who are listening in the podcast app, I'm sorry you don't get the benefit of seeing Mary dance with her ponytail.
Sorry.
Do go to the YouTube and watch Mary dance at the end of this episode.
Or don't.
So I think, again, it feels reverent. And when you go from the whirlwind of Hermione Granger and all other things that have been happening on this train to this moment where Hagrid yells out in a quiet lake, which was as smooth as glass, everyone was silent, staring up at the great castle overhead. It towered over them as they sailed nearer and nearer to the cliff on which it stood. "Heads down!" yelled Hagrid as the first boats reached the cliff. They all bent their heads, and his little boats carried them through a curtain of ivy, which had a wide opening in the cliff face. And they were carried along in a dark tunnel, which seemed to be taking them right underneath the castle until they reached a kind of underground harbor where they clambered out onto the rocks and pebbles. Remember how that transition happened in the last chapter when we go from the craziness of Diagon Alley to Ollivanders? This is very similar.
Everything stops.
It is as smooth as glass. And Harry, in the previous chapter at Ollivanders, felt like he was in a sacred library where he couldn't ask questions, much to Hagrid's delight, by the way. This is really important because this whole chapter is about cleansing them of their previous life. We have so many different transitions, whether it is going from the Dursleys to the train station, going from the train station to platform 9 3/4, going from the 9 3/4 to the train, going from the train to seeing Hagrid, going from seeing Hagrid to the boats, from the boats going into the Ivy, from the Ivy going into the tunnel, from the tunnel going into the harbor, from the harbor going into the Pebbles, and finally going into Hogwarts and Hagrid knocking on the door. There is at least 10 transitions there, each successively becoming more important, each successively becoming more sacred as they get to Hogwarts. This is a really big deal for Harry and for these Muggle kids. I'm sorry, not Muggle kids, for these wizard kids.
Yes.
For all of them. So yeah, I am once again flabbergasted by this chapter.
Awesome.
Do you want to take a different perspective on anybody?
I thought you were going to.
Oh yes, I want to take Malfoy's perspective.
Okay.
Here. Last chapter we had mentioned Malfoy and the kind of person that he was, and we've been making comparisons to Dudley. One of the questions that was brought up in the last episode was: is Malfoy a product of his own self, or is he a product of his family? And while the easy fence sitting way is to say it's both, I'm going to say he's a product of his family.
I would agree. He's an 11-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, it's funny because they also mention in this chapter that the Malfoys were one of the families that were the first to come back, but they don't seem quite reformed yet. And when you think about it, Malfoy was born the same year as Harry, and he was 1 year old when Voldemort, to whom his parents dedicated their lives, disappears. He's been given stories about Harry Potter. He's been told about Voldemort, and that he has seen his parents probably struggle a little bit with their place, even though they have this big rich life and they have all these things, and they are the Malfoy family, the much vaunted Malfoy family. I see why Malfoy is such an easily hateable character, especially in this chapter, but when you look at it from his perspective, he's doing what his family has taught him to do. He's doing what his family has engendered in him, which is look at himself above others.
And it's how they have survived.
Right
now, by being sneaky, by making sure that they have connections to places. Because think about it, if they were like more lower class Death Eaters, had they made those poor choices and not had as influential friends, you think about them when they're at the Quidditch World Cup, for example, they've got like the top bleacher seats, they're sitting with all the popular people. We frequently see Lucius Malfoy at the Ministry of Magic, and he's on the governing board of Hogwarts. He has a lot of power, and he has collected very influential, important friends.
Right.
And had he not had that, would he have still kept his fame? Would he have still kept his family after Voldemort left?
And you also get the sense that Draco, he has to live up to the Malfoy name. And you also get the sense that in particular, his father, the way that Draco talks about his father, you get the sense that he has to live up to his dad.
Yes.
And he's insecure about it. Like, he's very secure in who he is. He's very secure in what he thinks he is. But deep down, and I relate to this in many ways, he's insecure about his relationship with his dad. He's insecure about his relationship to his family and how he has to live up to that. How does he even dare live up to that? And the only way that he knows what to do is to be this caricature, to be a caricature of this person who thinks he's better than who he is.
And probably that's all of his playmates while he's been homeschooled by mom in our imaginary world that we're making up for the young children who go to Hogwarts. He's probably only hung out with Slytherin families, maybe a couple Ravenclaws sprinkled here and there.
And old families, by the way. Not
pureblood families.
No, pure
and
blood,
just like
old
family,
wizard family.
like other Malfoys or whatever. So, it's just who he's been around. So not only is it just a product of his family, but also the product of the community that he most likely was in.
And when Harry Potter says no, someone says no to a Malfoy, you can see why he acts the way that he does. It doesn't make it right.
No.
But you can see why he does what he does. And you can see why instantly he goes from trying to be buddy-buddy and putting his hand out to being...
I'm going to eat your candy.
Yeah, I'm going to eat your candy. I'm going to eat you. I'm going to eat you
Until
alive.
Scabbers
Yeah.
fight through you. Don't you dare touch that chocolate frog.
All right, so...
we got some questions.
We got some emails and questions. Now, we're going to read these emails, guys. If you are, for those of you who are watching live, if you do have questions for us, please do ask them after we get through these emails.
Yes, please, friends.
Okay, this one comes from Angela. She says, complete Potter virgin here.
Welcome
to the family. So forgive me if this is a rookie question. First of all, I adore Hagrid. Of
Amen.
course, how can you not?
Yep.
However, my cat is in
I'll
the
read
way.
it. However, if he is a complete screw-up as people keep making him out to be, which honestly he doesn't seem like he is, why would the higher-ups at Hogwarts entrust him with retrieving Harry from the Dursleys and setting him up properly with all he needed, especially if Harry is such as a supposed very important person and he knows literally nothing about wizardry? Exactly. So what's interesting is the position that Hagrid is in, because he's beloved by Dumbledore. Dumbledore says, I would trust him with my life. He becomes a teacher at Hogwarts. He's the
gamekeeper.
He's the keeper of the keys. He's the gamekeeper. Like, he has a very, very important role, but he is half giant. So in Malfoy's mind, and in a lot of pure blood families, particularly in the Slytherin house, pure blood means a lot. And mixing wizard blood with giant blood kind of creates this almost racist issue within the wizarding world. And that's one of the things that the author has done, is kind of brought the discussion of race and people who have mixed heritage, and how other people might see that. So it's not common in the Potterverse to have a half giant person, and you get to see just how Hagrid is treated differently by some other people, and he's not seen necessarily the same as, but the people who do appreciate him see his worth.
Like it. All right, this one comes from Jennifer. What would you name your owl, Mary? And what would you have purchased with your for school with your gold, or what shop would have been your favorite?
Okay.
And also tell me what your wand would be made out of.
Oh, okay. So mine is made out of dragon heartstring. Blake and I took the official quiz, the Wizarding World quiz. So mine has dragon heartstring.
I think mine was a phoenix feather.
It was.
Yep.
Yeah, yours was. And then what would you have purchased for school with your gold? Blake, you want to go first? What shop would have been your favorite?
Oh man, what would I have done? Oh man, that's a good question.
Yeah.
What would I have done? I think my first purchase would be butterbeer. Yep, it'd be butterbeer.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be my.
I can appreciate that.
My second purchase, it would probably be something Quidditch related. I think.
First years aren't allowed to bring brooms.
No, but you don't have to buy brooms. You can buy Quidditch stuff. Like you could, I don't know. See, what would I do? That's a real question. What would I buy?
I would be most excited to go get my robes. I think putting something on, like when I tried on my wedding dress, it was like this moment. Or prom dress shopping, or just back to school shopping. Like you're knowing that it's fresh and it's new, and this is the look I'm going for. And I think having that robe put on you, just like your graduation robe, like when you put it on you, you're like,
Yep.
This is really happening. I think that would have been my favorite moment, the one I would have been looking forward to. And what would I have named my owl? I would have brought a cat.
Oh, so what would you name your cat?
Lumos.
Yep. Good job.
Just like that. A winner!
Good
What would
job,
you have
Mary.
named your owl? Because you would have brought an owl.
That's
You're an owl person.
I'm definitely an owl person. What would I name my owl? I would name it something nerd. I would name it Dharma. From the Dharma Initiative.
I thought you meant the
Like Dharma and Greg?
animated, no, wasn't the emo cartoon girl named Dharma? The girl with the long black hair and the bangs
No.
and the glasses.
No, that was Daria.
That's what I'm picturing your
la
owl.
la 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 la.
Your owl would just be like emo and have like black
She would do it.
markings.
Do you remember the intro where
No, I couldn't watch
Well,
that
it's-
show either.
there's a scene, the intro where Daria is playing volleyball and everyone's like running around and the volleyball comes near her and Daria just puts her hand out like this and it just whizzes past her.
Oh my
That would be
goodness.
Mary. Yeah, I would name it Dharma.
Okay.
And what I would, you know what I would buy? But with my gold,
What?
I would buy something that would make my school easier, like to cheat. Like
You
I would absolutely do something like
You would get like a quick quotes quill or something.
I would do something to make my school life easier.
Do you like that I actually know?
You know what? You're gonna get it again today.
It's what Rita Skeeter uses.
Yes, I would get a quick quill or something stupid like
Quick
that.
quotes quill.
Yeah, sure.
It takes the notes for you, but sometimes it elaborates the way that you want it to.
All right, this one comes from Jen.
Okay.
She says, which character would you want to be friends with and hang out with on the train? And which Weasley character would you be friends with?
I would be hanging out with Lee Jordan and his pet tarantula. Lee Jordan is one of my favorite characters in the books. I even say even in the movies.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love that kid. That's why I would have had a crush
Lee
on.
Jordan why do you love him so much?
I think because he's the announcer for the Quidditch, and that was my job in high school. In middle school, was I was the announcements
my
person?
God.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
A fun fact: I used to
course.
say
Hold on. Okay, keep going.
for 2 years of my life. You know what I'm gonna say, don't you?
Yeah, go ahead.
For 2 years of my life, I led the entire school in the Pledge of Allegiance. And for 2 years, I would say, please everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And nobody told me that's how the Pledge of Allegiance doesn't go. It's not I pledge of allegiance. It's I pledge allegiance. Nobody noticed. Nobody said anything.
Oh,
Except the kid that I did the announcements with, and he told me the last day I did it.
Oh.
He let me do it all that time. Peter
Oh, my
Early.
God.
My name's Mary Earl. I had to sit next to Peter Early for like 12 years of my life. Not really 12
You are
years. Kindergarten
such
through
a
8th grade. 9 years of my life. And
You're
he let me
s-
do that.
you're
he,
such a dork.
He sat there and let me say I pledge of allegiance.
Pledge of Allegiance. You're such a dork.
So there we go. Lee Jordan.
That might be a new Hall of Fame moment.
You're
In
welcome.
Mary and Blake media history.
Which Weasley character would you want to be friends with, Blake?
I would absolutely be friends with Fred and George just because they love to bust balls. They are the best. All they do is bust balls.
Okay.
And the whole thing when they do the fireworks and Order of the Phoenix. Was it Order of the Phoenix? Or was it
Order of the Phoenix, yeah.
Yeah, it was Order of the when they do and they just
Oh, in the movie that just like made your heart glow.
Oh, I was like, yeah, guy, just stick it to the man and screw you. I'm on my broom and I'm out of here.
I love it.
F you.
I love
Like
it.
that was the best. Let's see. Rebecca asks, what position would you each play for Quidditch? What would you play?
I'd be a beater.
I think I'd be a beta too.
Yeah.
I ain't quick enough to be
Oh, I have terrible depth perception, so I don't want to be a keeper. Because I've always said I don't want to be the goalie, because then I'd really feel like I let the entire team down.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 3 hoops. I could not be a seeker. I'm not quick enough.
Yeah,
and I
no.
would daydream. I know myself. I'd be
Yeah.
like looking at a cloud and bored. I need to be something that's like I can constantly be in it.
Stephanie says, growing up in California, my sister literally thought the national anthem was directed at some kid named Jose. Jose, can you see?
I don't feel so bad. Did she sing it to her entire school every day? Because then she would have me beat.
Oh man.
That would have me beat.
Oh man, that was awesome.
Mm.
All right.
We should wrap things up.
Yeah. If you have any other questions, say them now or forever hold your peace. At
Or
least
email
until,
them
or email
at
them.
maryandblakemedia at
Yes.
gmail.com.
Yes. All right. Well, I think that is it for now, ladies and gents. If we could, we're going to close out the show. Ready to close it out?
Oh my God,
If we don't get any
yes.
other questions in the
Yes.
meantime.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Now that
yeah.
I just like let that out. I'm so glad we didn't have like video phones or whatever back then.
Pledge of Allegiance, you dork.
Yeah.
You're such a dork.
I also
Of course you would.
No.
No. Go ahead.
No.
No. You're right. Listen, you can't fuel the rocket and then not lift off.
my first pep rally for high school, which I was so excited about, playing my little saxophone. I'm like, yeah, man. I was the lead T. I was the like closest T to the stands, and I was like, I'm so proud. I'm a freshman, and I'm like given this amazing role of leading the marching T with my saxophone. I was so proud, and I was happy, and I had my fly down the entire time, and no one told me until the bus ride home, where they said, Mary, you like the color pink? And I said, actually, no, I don't like the color pink. It's on my, like, I don't like that. Because there I was, marching with my saxophone, fly freaking down.
Do you like the color pink?
And I'm like 6 feet tall. So that means my fly is like 5 inches long or something. I don't know. A little pep in that step.
Dude, I'm red. Oh.
I wonder why I didn't have a boyfriend forever.
Oh my God.
I got this one. He didn't know these stories about me. I would have been on YouTube so many times in a bad way.
Oh my God. All right. We got to close this bad boy out.
Okay.
We don't get any more questions. People are just making fun of us.
This is why I related to Harry. I would read Harry Potter being like, oh,
That's
okay.
me too.
Maybe my letter's gonna still come.
All right. Let's close this bad boy out, shall we?
Yes, please.
Allie, Allie here on YouTube saying I think we deserve Mary and Blake's school photos. Oh, that might be a good Patreon thing. I like it. I like that idea.
Oh, especially with the brick. Because did you have your senior photos in front of like a brick wall,
No, I didn't have the brick wall. I had a
leaning against a window?
No, I did not do that. That was not that.
Or one of
dorky.
these with your hands
No,
on your
God,
chin?
no, I did not do that.
I did all of those.
I had like one of those blue backgrounds, like gradients. That was me.
Oh, of
Yeah.
course.
But I used to get the lasers. Dude, the lasers were the best.
Of course you got
I
the
loved.
lasers.
I was all about the laser life. I felt like I was in Tron. Can you imagine me in 7th grade being like, I
You
want
did
to be
it
like
even in 7th grade? Like not
Of course I did.
not just like 3rd grade. In 7th grade when you would like switch pictures to keep in your wallet, and then you'd get Blake's and you'd be like, again.
Dude, the lasers again.
Is this guy joking?
What
or
are we doing? Are you doing it to be ironic?
Does his mom love lasers? Oh my God, Blake. We gotta close up the show.
All
So
right.
my name's Mary,
My name's Blake.
and we're gonna be coming at you. I know we said we were gonna be doing more podcasts this week. Listen, guys, we're trying. Our kids don't sleep.
Now that we're not doing the crown anymore, we can probably do it.
Yeah. Okay. Next up is the Sorting Hat. No hate on Hufflepuff. I might even wear this shirt again to represent as we go into the Sorting Hat. Love you guys. Make sure you hit that share button. I think when I looked last, we were up to 17. So if you enjoyed this podcast episode, hit that share button below. Let people know about the Potterverse. Make sure you subscribe in your podcatcher
Should I
of
play
choice.
the music again? Because we're still recording.
I didn't know it ended.
Oh yeah. Well, here I'll play it again.
Hello? Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret.
Or should I play the Daria theme song?
No. No. On that note,
Yes.
my name's Mary.
Well, I just started the music again.
Oh, goodness gracious.
are we doing?
What am I supposed to say?
I don't know.
I think I just broke my headphone.
You definitely did break it. All right, we go.
Maybe not.
Oh man,
Where'd the music go?
that's right there.
Okay.
Now, I think that's actually a really good Patreon thing. If we get to 3,000, we will put out our school photos. I'll see if I can find my lasers. At least our senior ones. Come on, that'll be fun.
Oh, yeah, you can have my senior
You
one.
get to see my butt cut.
The hair that I had
Yeah.
earlier this year.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay, everybody.
man.
On that note, we cannot wait to delve into the Sorting Hat with you. Please, please, please submit your questions to maryandblakemedia@gmail.com. Love going through the Potterverse with you and appreciate all of your support.
Absolutely. And thank you again for doing all this stuff with us. We'll have some more appropriate conversations about houses and all the good stuff coming through with the Sorting Hat. And just doing all the reviews. And we got some great reviews in. If you find that you have enough value in this podcast and we have a lot of fun doing it, please do give us a review on iTunes or any of the podcatchers of your choice. And that's it for now.
My name's Mary.
My name's Blake.
Mischief managed. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Wanted to remind you that Blake created some new T-shirts in regards to the Potterverse.
My Hagrid's Bakery one.
Oh,
I've already sold a ton of them
I'm
today.
so excited.
So excited.
Check them all out. You can, of course, see that at MaryandBlake.com. You just click the store, or you could go to our Mary and Blake Facebook page, as Blake has uploaded photos there. If you have suggestions for shirts that you would like him to create, it is one of Blake's favorite things to do.
Absolutely.
Like favorite. Blake is an artist. I had seen some of your comments below saying like, oh my gosh, Blake draws. We'll have to show you some of his artwork that he's done, particularly with pastels, but he loves creating different t-shirt ideas. So if you have any for any of the things that we podcast about, please let us know.
I'm trying to do at least one per chapter. Like one per episode. Like I did for Outlander. I did one per episode at the least.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing for Harry Potter.
Awesome. When are you going to fix my microphone? Like I just kind of like keep sliding.
You just keep going down
Yeah.
and down. And
Yeah. I want to let you guys know, honestly, doing this podcast has been such a joyous thing. We've been, as so many parents right now, are in the throngs of like figuring out what's happening with the school year and stuff like that. So this has been such a nice moment of levity and escapism in just a sweet little joyful way, at least for now, while no one's trying to kill Harry. It's been wonderful. So thank you all so much for joining us live. Let us know your feedback about if we should be continuing to go live on Instagram. I know that the Instagram feed was already kicked off because you can only go live for an hour there.
yeah.
Sorry, Instagram friends. But yeah, let us know. And
Allison says, I vote nerd sweats for this episode. Let's see. Rebecca says not Harry Potter, but do you plan Hamilton stuff related?
Blake just wrote a blog post all about watching Hamilton.
Yeah, I've reviewed the Hamill film.
Yeah.
We do, and now that we're done with The Crown, we do intend on doing a review of the Hamill film for the podcast, for Rise Up. So I expect that probably next week. We're trying to do every Monday and Wednesday for the podcasting because we do have to, actually watch our children and take care of them at some
Bless
point.
their sweethearts.
I know, and they put up with
They're
us.
so cute.
So yeah, that's all we got.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have yourselves a fantastic night. Thanks for tuning into the Potterverse, and we'll talk with you all soon.
All right.
Take care.